Welcome everybody to another video here with M&M Gutters and Exteriors. Today we want to highlight some of the options that we provide as far as leaf guard goes. Primarily here at M&M Gutters and Exteriors we provide two. However, you're not limited to those two. So again, we want to highlight primarily the two options that we provide here at M&M Gutters, namely Easy Flow. It's a coated wire mesh made for both a 5-inch and a 6-inch application regarding your gutters. And then Gutter RX, which is primarily just a perforated aluminum that it comes again in a 5 and a 6-inch. The difference also with Gutter RX, it comes in not only white, but a dark bronze option. Now, let's talk about drawbacks. Some companies will advertise that once you add leaf guard, you never have to clean your gutters again. I'm not going to say that's a lie, but I know it's not true, especially here in the state of Utah with all the dust and debris that we have up in the air. Let's talk about drawbacks, pros and cons. Here with your Easy Flow, great for water flow. However, if you have something, say a ponderosa pine in your yard with those long pine needles, this essentially is going to turn your gutter into a pencil holder, and then everything else will stack up on top of that. With Gutter RX, we have your perforated aluminum, also your waves that help with water flow. This is great at keeping a majority of most all debris out. However, the drawback to this type of leaf guard in the wintertime, it does tend to freeze over. Now I do have one other screen here. This is a micro mesh. This is not one that we typically use here at M&M Gutters and Exteriors, and here's why. Yes, it's great at protecting your gutters from every type of blockage. However, with the micro mesh and with the shingles shedding all their granules and mixed with the dust and the dirt, that turns into a mud and a slurry. You're going to start to see that blockage build up, and then your water is just typically going to stay on top of the screen. And then with the sun, you're going to start getting algae buildup. If you're not vigilant and removing that type of debris, you're going to see blockage all the time. Good product, not one we recommend. Let's talk about installation. Here with our Easy Flow, primarily this is going to go on and tension is going to hold it in place. I'm going to take this little lip here, put it on the inside of the gutter. This is a 5-inch K-style gutter. Tension is going to hold that in place on the back of the gutter. Now what your installers are going to do after they have the leaf guard or screen in place, they're basically going to set it in place with just a 1/4-inch zip screw. And typically they'll put one at each end and one in the middle. Sometimes based on how that's sitting, if it's tight enough, great, they may put one in the back as well. Now when installing the Gutter RX, basically this lip here on the front is going to rest on the front part of your gutter. And then the back of that, and depending on where it is in the gutter system, this may be in front of the drip edge, it may be behind the drip edge. Either way, it typically has a nice and tight fit. Okay, and then once again, your installers will come through and install screws every couple feet here on the end, the middle, and the end just again. Just an example, I have here a honey locust leaf. These are typically a very small leaf, as you can see. However, when they break down and die, they're going to get much smaller than that, and you can see they're even the little seed pods. Now, here on the Gutter RX, does a pretty darn good job. Okay, you can see the small debris that's not even really going to make it into the gutter. And let's say it does go through, it's going to be washed out as well. But here on your Easy Flow, this type of leaf, again, remember when it's broken down, is going to get caught. Okay, even your branches, if those fall off the tree, those will get caught. And that's a fine example of stuff getting caught there, and then everything will compound on top of that, and then you really have a big problem as far as blockage goes. One last thing that we want to cover with leaf guard. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, just because you have leaf guard, does that mean you never have to clean your gutters again? False. Here, especially in Utah, with the dust and the dirt buildup and the little debris and the granules that are going to come make it through your leaf guard, you're going to need and require some form of clean out, whether you do it yourself or give us a call. We're very inexpensive when it comes to clean outs. Typically at the end of the year, when you're pushing into September, October, that's when it gets really busy. So if you're looking to get that set up, give us a call prior to those months, maybe the end of summer. We can always set you up for a clean out before winter hits. Thanks.